In the legal world, there is a combination of forces that feed a corrupt and suffocating legal system for attorneys. Law schools, law professionals, judges, and even the firms themselves for whom you work create a system, a matrix, if you will, that is nothing like what you thought when you passed the bar exam. The purpose of this podcast is to help you escape this legal matrix, leading you out of the proverbial desert to be free of the bondage of the matrix. Hosted by Bryce D. Nyer, attorney at law with over 30 years experience in the trenches of civil and criminal litigation at the state, federal, and international levels. He's a highly accomplished and resourceful legal professional, a true master of his craft, and he's here to help you get your life back. Here's your host, Bryce D. Nyer.
All right. We are here for another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix with yours truly, Bryce D. Nyer. Coming at you live from Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of Fort Bragg, where every day men and women don the uniform and they go fight for our rights that a lot of us take for granted. So we're going to talk about a subject that's kind of near and dear to me. It's about associations. And I found in life that who you associate with can determine the quality of how you live, especially in the domains of body, being, balance, business, and ultimately fulfillment. And recently, for me, they're coming into, we're in 2025. There have been significant changes in my life just in the last 2 weeks. I mean, major significant changes in body, being, balance, and business, and major changes with those whom I associate and with those I who not associate with. And I will tell you, having these conversations were very instrumental. In fact, my podcast producer, Bryce Prescott, has been very instrumental with me in all these domains. And having conversations with Bryce Prescott gave me a significant insight. Excuse me today. It's like 23 degrees out, and this cold weather is just really screwing with my voice and my sinuses. But anyway, getting back, having these conversations with Bryce Prescott over the last couple weeks, and especially the last couple of days. If you guys don't have a great podcast producer like him, you need to get him. Because he gave me such clarity, and we started talking about this subject, about associations. And the key question that he proposed to me, which I think is instrumental, is do these associations basically assist me where I want to go in what we call this thing, the impossible game in life, and in the domains of body, being, balance, and business? Do they serve a purpose? Do they further the purpose of my sole purpose and of my mission? And I got to tell you, I thought about this and he had said it to me a couple times, and then recently in the last 2 weeks, it just really came in like a tsunami. And so many things had happened to me in each one of the domains of body, being, balance, and business that I had to go back and ask that better question. Does this person or persons, does this particular company, does this particular entity or this association with a particular group or people, or companies, no matter who it is it getting me to where I need to be? Because many times we compare ourselves to others, what others are doing, when that's not our path. And Bryce Prescott was instrumental in pointing that out to me. That what other people are doing in their professions, in their lives, is not necessarily something that everybody can do or should follow. Everybody's got to be unique. You have a unique DNA, and in reality, you have a unique soul purpose DNA, so to speak, too. Everybody's got a soul. And so you all are unique. Everybody's different. And, the more I thought about this, the more I sat down, and I'm just like, what are my associations? And I just started listing all of these, associations, whether it was the gym I was going to, or my staff, you know, anything and everything. And I just started listing them all out in these domains. And I got to tell you, when I sat there, then I put a score to it, like 0 to 10. Like 0 is just like was serving me no purpose, was not helping me progress or assist in anything whatsoever. And the 10 was, yeah, it's getting me where I need to be. And so I sat there and I started doing that with everything. And honestly, it kind of, man, it can be draining, because once you realize that some of these relationships, whether personal or business, are toxic, then you have to cut those relationships out. You have to cut them off. And there is a period that you will go through. It's kind of like a withdrawal. It's almost like being a drug addict. You go through this period where there's just all of a sudden this vacuum and this void that's in your life. And wow, man, let me tell you, it just hits you like a tsunami. I mean, it's powerful. It pulls at your emotions and your spirit and your mental, and sometimes it can roll over to your physical, where you lose sleep. And over the last couple weeks, especially the last 2 weeks before recording what we're doing right here, right now, I was just tossing and turning, and I could feel this conviction inside me, that God was just knocking on my head and saying, you've got to awaken, you've got to wake up, and you've got to realize that some of these relationships, or the path that you're taking, or the paths that you're taking, are not the right ones. And it just, when you toss and you turn, and it just won't stop. It's like in Scripture where Paul talks about this thorn in his side. And I had this thorn in my side. It just wouldn't go away. And it all came back to what Bryce Prescott had spoken to me about, the associations, the relationships, because maybe those relationships, maybe those associations a few years ago were what I needed at the time. But now it's time to move forward to new associations, to new relationships, or better yet, to take off the training wheels and fly free. So I don't know, maybe you law students, maybe you lawyers, maybe all of you out there listening, maybe there's this thorn in your side, with all the associations. Maybe you're tossing and turning at night, and you're debating. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're having that much internal struggle with an association with a person, or persons or entities or agencies or companies, no matter what it is in your life, then something's wrong. There's just something wrong. And you know that. It's kind of like, for example, people, when you go out and start dating, especially during separation and divorce, and you start dating again. And, you're like, well, I'm bored. I'm going to go out with this person, but I'm not really feeling it. I don't really feel the chemistry. And you know deep down it's not going to go anywhere. And you're not really into this person, but you're going to go because you got nothing else to do. And you're like, well, maybe. And you're going to put yourself in a little bit of deception and delusion. But the whole time you're on this date and this, association, whether it's lunch, dinner, whatever the hell it is, you don't feel comfortable with it. And it's not for you. Because that chemistry is just not there. The chemistry of association. And that's the way that I was feeling for, really actually a number of months. But it just spiraled and became this tsunami of just overwhelming conviction and thorn in my side until it almost drove me mad. And you have to be able to discern whether you're living in delusion, whether you're living in deception, or whether you're living in truth about what you want. And if you don't admit to yourself about really what it is you want, and you continue down a path of like trying to be the square peg fitting in the round hole, you're going to destroy yourself. You're going to frustrate yourself. You're going to waste your time. You're going to waste your money. You're going to waste all your energy on something that you're not meant to be. And some people, persist. Well, you don't give up. I'm not telling people to give up. What I'm saying is you have to be honest and you have to be truthful. Like, for example, in certain relationships and marriages, a lot of you out there are divorced. Well, you're divorced. It could be for many reasons. Maybe you dicked it up. Maybe your ex-spouse dicked it up. I don't know. But at some point, that association broke for whatever reasons. And maybe you shouldn't have even been in that marriage, that association at all. I mean, that happened to me. I rushed into 2 marriages, and I'm not saying bad about those women at all. What I'm saying is that I knew something wasn't right. I knew something was wrong. And I just, I made a commitment, I'm going to do it. And I wasn't honest and truthful with myself. I just wasn't. And it's going to happen in your life, in these domains of body, of being, of balance, and business. I remember starting a fitness program, probably 2.5 years ago. And it's all this talk about protein for the muscle building, blah, blah, blah. And I was taking these protein drinks. They were natural, they were normal, nothing wrong with them. But they were making me bloated. And I'm like, well, I got to take them. But they were making me nauseous. They were making me sick. And I'm like, man, I'm bloating, I'm looking like a Teletubby. I'm like, this isn't the way it's supposed to be working. And I was like thinking, okay, I got to do what they said, but it wasn't working. And finally I'd say no. I had to disassociate myself from that particular brand and that particular drink. It just was not fitting in for my purpose of getting fit. And then I went to doing a water fast one time for 7 days a couple months ago. And I got to tell you, it was great. After doing that a couple of days, I was like, man, I just felt fantastic. Now, you don't want to do that for too long. And of course, I talked to my doctors about it, but I'm just saying that there are times you have to detox in the domains. You have to detox in body, being, balance, and business. And sometimes that detox requires you to terminate associations with people and companies and entities in your personal and your professional life. And that was a key lesson that Bryce Prescott brought to me when we were having our discussions. Again, ask that better question. Is this serving the purpose for where you're going in life, whether it's personal or business? And it seems like such a simple question, but when you answer it, it starts to get complex. And then you know what you have to do. So the question is simple. The answer is going to be a little conflicting, but then you got to make the hard choices. You can stay in delusion and deception and frustrate yourself and waste your time and energies and money, or you can say, you know what, this is not the right path for me. And then you take the corrective action. It's a difficult thing to do. And I always kind of, an analogy to marriage. I mean, marriage is the best analogy because marriage is this association of two people that didn't know each other, that at some point met each other, and there was this huge chemistry and this huge spark. And the dating relationship, the engagement, then the marriage ceremony, and then the reception and blah, blah, the honeymoon and all that. And then you begin the real life. And then pretty soon, as years go on, something in the association of marriage, it starts to break. And then you have to ask yourself, what is it from the outside or the inside that's causing the associations to fracture? And is this association, is it benefiting my life? Is it benefiting where I or we need to go? And I do this in business too, with my staff. All of our staff here at my firm, when they interview, it's about chemistry. I don't really care about their resumes. I don't. They come in and we actually put them to a working interview where we pay them. We're like, yeah, we're going to do it right now. And really the other staff votes on whether they fit in or not. So it's kind of a two-way interview, and it's an association. And if I have staff or employees where the association of employer and employee are so toxic, if that happens, well, then somebody's got to go. So I want you to ask that better question. Where in your world, what are your associations, and where are you with those associations? And which ones do you need to not associate with? And the ones that you don't need to associate with, and if they're not serving the purpose, your sole purpose of where you need to go in life, then you need to get rid of them. You need to get rid of them. I had to make some very difficult choices over the last 2 weeks. Very difficult. Very emotionally draining. Extremely emotionally draining. But I'm going to tell you something. Once I made those decisions, I went through that withdrawal period. And Now I'm getting a lot more clarity and focus, and they were the right decisions. They were the right decisions. I didn't make them lightly. I didn't make them without counsel. But at the end, I had to make the decision. And so when Bryce Prescott presented that better question to me and the other better questions, and I answered them, then I knew what I needed to do. All right. So this has been another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix. As I'm stumbling through it, losing my voice because of this extremely cold weather. But hey, nonetheless, I'm here, whether it's 20-something degrees and or not. And I want all of you to ask that better question and do it today. Don't wait because, yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here. It hadn't arrived yet, but all you've got is today. But what you do today and who you associate with today and the decisions you make today are going to affect your tomorrow. So ask that better question and then answer it and then take the action you need to take. All right. Love and light to all of you. This is Bryce and I coming at you live from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Again, home of Fort Bragg. And again, where everyday men and women don the uniform and they have to ask the better questions too. This is Bryce out.